Just current agendas, board of directors.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Anna.
Good morning.
Uh-oh. Can we test the sound again? Joe, can you say something?
Sure. There's an ICF Lenten dinner on Friday. How's that?
That didn't sound so great.
How
How
about
about you, Thanks, Joe. You can
buy
take
the
that.
tickets
Come on in.
online?
Anna, can you say something? We're testing the sound in here.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little staticky.
Like there's an echo.
Yeah, no, a staticky echo.
Yeah, we have the
went
same,
through the, didn't have this issue with the committee, so let's see.
we have the same problem here. We can't hear you.
The
board members who are joining live.
Oh, okay. For those of you who are joining live, please all make sure you're muting your microphones and only one person is speaking. So if we can get one person to speak now, Joe, unmute and speak, please.
Sure. How's this sound? I hear kind of a staticky sound.
Not much better. Okay, they were all muted except for one. He spoke and it sounded like a bird. What's that?
Good morning, this is Tony.
But it's also Anna too. It's everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the board, by IT staff, I'm going to ask you to leave the meeting and please reconnect. So. Thank you.
Are we sure that's how Zoom clicks out? I'm gonna restart.
Welcome to the new world.
Yeah. We can restart or change. Good morning, this is Tony. Can you hear me?
That's-
Let me see if I can.
Tony, I can hear you. It's me, Jeanette.
We just went through, you were part of the, you heard the committee meeting. We didn't have any issues.
No, there's no problem at all. Do you want all the board members to click off and rejoin? Okay, Joe, let's try it again.
Okay. How's this? Still staticky, it sounds like.
Sure does. Which we were not experiencing 15 minutes ago.
Well, should we go ahead and continue?
No, let's wait, Joe, because I can't even understand what you're saying, Joe.
Oh, okay.
Let's hang on and let the IT look into it for a few minutes. Still have problems. Joe, why don't you say something, Joe?
Okay, how's that sound? Yeah, it's still a little staticky.
Sounds actually a little better.
I could hear it.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, you're coming in crystal clear. Yeah, I kind of hear a background in regards to static on my end. Or can you hear me at all?
Hear you, but
It sounds rough.
it's like, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that we couldn't continue the meeting.
No, we can't. Let's just see. if we can.
Still having it?
Joe, want to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah. let's go.
I think it still sounds a little staticky, but maybe a little bit better. How's this sound?
I'm wondering if just Joe, Lorraine, can you say something and see if I can hear you? Or Mike?
I'm here.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is it clear? Yes?
I
can hear
you clearly.
Yeah,
Okay,
I could hear you clearly, Lorraine. Can you hear me? Okay.
yes,
Mike or
yes,
Lorraine? Okay.
yeah, no
Okay.
static, no static at all. Okay, good.
That is.
It is.
And now I know, look at it. It's great.
Think we're ready? Mike, can you give it a try? Mike Labar?
Oh, yes, you can hear me.
There we go.
Good job, guys. Okay, let's bring this meeting of Monterey Salinas Transit District Board meeting together. My name is Dan Albert, the chair. I'd like the public to hear that you can participate. You can participate 4 ways. Either you can be in person for the first time. Today we have board member Gagliotti here and board member Barron here today, along with myself and staff. You can participate here at the actual site, or you could participate on Zoom. That's at mst.org homepage, then the Zoom link, or you can telephone in at 669-900-6833, or you can catch us on YouTube channel. So that's 4 ways that you can watch our meeting if you'd like to. Okay. Let's see, watch this, call to order. There, how about that? Actually have a mallet here to call
Easy,
to
that-
order.
That hasn't been used in a couple of years.
I know. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay.
We did.
All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of
of the United States of America, to the republic, for which it stands, nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before Carl goes through the highlights, I want to mention to the board members that are out in virtual land that I cannot see here if you're raising your hand. So I'm going to ask Scott to let me know. So wave or whatever you could do to catch my attention. Then I'll call on you. Okay, Carl, why don't we have the highlights, review the highlights of the agenda.
Thank you, Chair.
Do we need to do a roll call, please?
Oh, yes, roll call. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, City of Carmel by the Sea,
Here.
City of Delray Oaks,
Here.
City of Gonzales,
Here,
City of Greenfield, City of King City,
Present.
City of Marina,
Here.
City of Monterey,
Here.
City of Pacific Grove,
Here,
City of Salinas,
Here.
City of Sand City, City of Seaside,
Here.
City of Soledad,
Here.
County of Monterey.
Here.
Thank you. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Jeanette, for reminding me to call roll. Appreciate that. Okay, Carl, now we're ready to review highlights of the agenda.
Thank you. Still.
excuse me,
some of the rest
Dan,
Here of doing live meetings.
uh,
Okay.
Chair Albert.
Yes,
Yeah, there's a Chris R has his hand raised.
okay.
Hello, I was just waiting for the public comment period.
Oh,
That's
okay,
all.
wait, that's, Chris, that's coming up in about 30 seconds.
Okay, so moving on to my review of the highlights of the agenda. On the consent agenda, among the usual things that you see, you'll please notice the FY 2021 audited financial results as our comprehensive report, combined report. We have a purchase of 6 Toyota electric hybrid vehicles. And then also a purchase of ChargePoint chargers. And then we have some appointments to our Measure Q Oversight Committee. On our action items, we don't have a lot, but we do have my update for the year to date on pandemic planning, and also an update on our mid-year budget and year-end forecast for the current fiscal year. Then we will have a closed session item for your board as well. That concludes my review of the agenda.
Thank you, Carl. So we'll move to number 2, public comments on matters not on the agenda. This is a time when the public can address the board on matters that are within our jurisdiction of MST district, but are not on the agenda. We'll limit it to your comments and questions to 3 minutes. So if there's anybody that would like to comment, I know we have one. I think that was Chris. Are you out there?
Yes, Chris Renzullo, and I would like to speak. I request recognition from the chair, please.
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Chris Renzullo. I ride a line 18 frequently, and I'm a very frequent transit rider. And I wanted to bring something to the board's attention. First, I want to compliment the board on providing a safe and reliable form of transportation through the pandemic. I really appreciate it. And I want to just compliment you for running an efficient and safe program. The issue I want to bring up is that in the neighborhood of the parks in Seaside, there is a string of stops along Monterey Road, where there are stops in the southbound direction, but there are no corresponding stops in the northbound direction. There are several of them, but the two that I want to bring to your attention are at Monterey and Normandy, and Monterey and California, as these are the two that I use most frequently. Because there are stops at these two locations in the southbound direction on line 18, but not in the northbound direction, what I typically have to do when traveling northbound to this location is I have to either get off and walk back half a mile, or I have to get off at 7th and Giggling near the commissary, PX, and take a bus back in about 15-20 minutes in the opposite direction. It's not the end of the world, but it's pretty inconvenient, and I'm not the only person that's run into this problem. While riding this line, I've talked to several other people who have to do the same thing, and especially when carrying groceries or other heavy loads, it's an imposition. I understand that there's construction going on Numea Road, which is where the line 18 used to run. I'm not sure when that's going to come to conclusion, but in the meantime, it would be very helpful to have these missing stops filled in at Monterey and Normandy, and Monterey and California and Seaside on line 18. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to provide my email and for a follow-up.
Thank you, Chris. The board and staff won't respond, except that we will give you a call or we'll have somebody contact you from the staff to make sure that you get your questions answered, okay?
Okay, how can I get in touch?
So Chris, one way to get in touch is to go onto our website at mst.org. And
Okay.
there's a section for comments from passengers, and you can
Okay.
fill out there's a form that you can fill out. And if you leave
Okay.
your email address in that form, our staff will contact you. Our planning manager is in the audience right now. I see him scribbling furiously, and it's the team that will be addressing that. So if you
Okay.
could do that for us and leave your email address in that online comment form, we'll have staff get back to you.
I will do that. And just one last time, it's line 18, Monterey and Normandy, Monterey and California in Seaside.
Got it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank
Chris,
you.
thanks very much for your comments. It helps us a lot when our customers call in and let us know what's going on out there. Thank you very much. Chris.
Glad to be of help. Thanks for paying attention to this matter. I appreciate it.
Is there anybody else in the public that would like to make a comment? Scott, do you see anybody out there?
I do not.
Okay, one more time. Anybody in the public like to make a comment? Okay, let's move on, close the public comment section and go to consent agenda. As Carl mentioned, there are 11 items. Are there any questions from the board, or would you like to pull any items for discussion?
Mayor Labar has a question.
Yes, Mayor Labar.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to I had one question on 3.8, and that was regarding the hybrid vehicle purchases. Was MST eligible for any local, state, or federal incentives?
I I think Norm is going to answer that question.
Hey, good morning. Norm Tutubuki, your Chief Operating Officer. So the pricing that we took advantage of is specific to agencies within California, public agencies. We piggybacked off of the California Department of General Services contract, and it allows us to get some very good pricing. We opened up the quotes that we received and offered the city of Salinas Toyota dealership there. And then also here in Seaside, we offered them the opportunity to take a look at the bids, and neither of them had a desire to quote, but what they told us was that we were receiving funding, or we were receiving pricing that was about $3,000 to $4,000 below MSRP. So there weren't any additional incentives that we took advantage of, but the pricing on the California State DPS contract is, well below what any other agency or any other seller could offer us.
Thank you, Norm. And I do feel that they're really good prices. I meant more specifically, like, the 3CE electric company has rebates for people who purchase electric vehicles. I was more specifically thinking of that if we were eligible, even though the agreement we have, are we eligible also for some of these rebates?
Yeah, I haven't looked at that, but I can certainly look into it.
We'll follow up with the 3CE folks. We're still trying to figure them out. They've been focused more on school buses and other transportation agencies, and we've been trying to get some FaceTime with them.
Okay, and there's also the Air Resource District. I don't know if we qualify, but thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You're
All right,
welcome.
thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Norm. Is there anyone else in the board have any more questions on consent items 1 through 11?
Mayor
Chair, I
Velasquez.
do.
Yes, who do I have there?
Director Velasquez.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Anna. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just, as a follow-up question, and thank you, Mayor Labar, for bringing that up in terms of 3CE to see what the eligibility is. I do have another question as well, just in regards to 3-8. So I know that it's, the main purpose is for field supervision support staff to be able to drive these vehicles, as we have an extensive geographical boundary. But just in terms of storage of the vehicles, are they going to be dispersed throughout the King City facility and the Salinas facility? Just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, yes, they will. Yeah, we're taking a look at our vehicle assignments now, and then our plan is to replace the vehicles that are ready for replacement, and that includes some vehicles that'll be stationed down in King City. So
Perfect.
throughout our whole entire region, including King City, Salinas, and Monterey.
Thank you. And I just, Chair, I have one more on 3-10, just a quick comment on that, or question on the Measure Q. Just a comment, if other applications from the South County cities were received for this specific appointment. And then also, do we know, is there any term limits on how many terms a person can serve, or is it just we don't have any on that, and a person can serve as many time limits as they're appointed to?
I can handle that question.
Sure.
Chair.
Go ahead.
We did not receive any applications from unincorporated South County. We did have Supervisor Lopez and his staff were seeking those applications, but we wanted to have something together for your board for this meeting, because the Measure Q committee is meeting late in this month. So the only application we received was from an unincorporated person living in the unincorporated area of Mary Adams District 5 at this time. But we did widely distribute the opportunity for application for that. We do not have term limits currently. The boards do serve a term, but if they choose to re-up, we do allow that. That's in the bylaws of the committee. If that's something that your board would like the committee to discuss, you can certainly ask staff to place that on the agenda for a future agenda of the Measure Q committee.
Thank you, Carl. No, just wanted to see, just wanted to verify I understood what the policies were in terms of the appointments. Thank you for that.
Thank you. If I can just make a comment, I sit on the Monterey Peninsula College Oversight Committee for their bonds. And it takes a lot of work to go over all the documents. And I appreciate all of the members that are on that committee, because it is time consuming at times. So thank you very much. And it's very difficult to get people to sit on this committee. So I appreciate people that would like to re-up. That's great. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the board? Mary Ann?
Yes, yes, thank you. Yes, this is just a follow-up comment to Chair Labar's question regarding the EV rebates. So with 3Cs, they do have rebates that's intended as to reimburse a portion of the cost of the purchase, either purchase or lease of a new or used electric vehicles. And I do know that they do have incentives. They'd like to talk about fleets, whole fleets for companies, as well as with the cities. So I would just urge that you follow up with 3Cs.
We will follow up, and in our following maintenance report, that's part of the general manager's report, we'll make certain that we throw in a comment as far as what we find out, so that your board's made aware through that memo.
Thank you.
Right.
Is there any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, let's take it out to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a comment or pull an item on consent? Scott, do you see anyone out there?
I do not.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for entertain a motion.
Motion
Make a
to
motion.
approve the consent agenda.
A second?
Okay, that's board member Emilio has the motion, and the second is, I think, board member Vice Chair Velasquez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there any more discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Director Barron,
Yes.
Director Gagliotti,
Aye.
Director Woody.
Aye.
Has Director Martinez joined? Okay, Director Labar,
Aye.
Director Burnett,
Yes.
Director Albert,
Yes.
Director Emilio,
Yes.
Director Barrera,
Yes.
Director Carbone,
Yes.
Director Pacheco,
Yes.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
and Director Alejo.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passed.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move to number 4, recognitions and special presentations. We'll start with 4-1, March 2022 Employee of the Month, Daniel Bruno.
And
Who do we have?
Sloan Campy, our planning manager, will be presenting Mr. Bruno, who happens to be also filling in at the back of the room as our Spanish translator.
Wonderful.
So
Good morning, Sloan. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the board. Thank you. Yes, it's actually a real privilege to be here a third time since my tenure began back in January 2021 to recommend a member of my to recognize a member of my staff as Employee of the Month. And Daniel Bruno is our scheduling assistant, and he has demonstrated a real aptitude for this type of work. He started as a customer service representative in November of 2016. And then in November 2020, during the pandemic, he transitioned to take a shot at scheduling. And he's been learning the scheduling software that we use. It's a very complex system. He's being trained currently by our scheduler, David Bielsker, who has a wealth of knowledge and who was recognized as Employee of the Month, I believe, in January. And yeah, he has really got above and beyond with some of the tasks of modernization that we've been trying to pull off here in the department. One of those tasks being he was really the catalyst for our new master bus stop inventory, which is a database that we created, compiling all of our stop lists and accounting for all of our active and inactive bus stops that we have in the system, there are a lot. Daniel was pivotal in helping to create that, and he's learning more and more about how databases work and how that will relate to scheduling every day that he's here. And we're recognizing him because lately he has actually been going even above and beyond his own role. When we were experiencing a staff shortage for customer service reps, he was able to lend a hand to them over the holidays. And that was really important for us because with the staffing shortages that we've been experiencing, we've all been trying to help each other out. And Daniel is a prime example of that. And even today, he is stepping above and beyond by helping us during this board meeting itself by helping with the Spanish translations here in the back. So he is present here today, and it's my pleasure to recognize him. So thank you, Chair, and thank you the board for that.
All right, thank you very much.
Remember how to do this?
I've never done it before. This is the
I've
first
never done it
time.
before either. So
Well, we usually come on up and we bring our, I guess we're gonna have to stand, no, not too close, no, I'm just joking. We gotta figure this all out. So usually I say a few words, you come in, we take a picture, and that's how we used to do it, if you can remember way back when. So generally, though, I think Sloan, you did a wonderful job. Danny represents that for those of you who missed Akuyo's presentation to the admin committee, we talked about our values and that friendliness and that caring that we as MST value as an organization and permeates our organization, that being willing to help others and all we do, that has really come out, especially during the pandemic. We were faced with closing customer service centers due to the Omicron. We were really had lost almost all of our customer service reps, and Danny stepped up and took on his old role as a customer service rep and was there for our passengers when we needed them. So it's my pleasure, Danny, to present you with the resolution from the board that they just adopted, honoring you as our Employee of the Month, as well as your Employee of the Month pen, and you already received your check. So I don't have that to give you. Thank you, Danny. If you'd like to address the board, you may do so. And then we'll have a picture with you in the chair. Maybe we can go maskless for a second.
I'll back up.
Kind of like Gavin Newsom at the Super Bowl.
Good morning, everyone. It is nice to see all of you again. My name is Daniel Bruno, and I'm the scheduling assistant here at Monterey Salinas Transit. I wrote a quick speech because I too want to recognize MST and express how grateful I am for this company and all those who work here. I want to thank MST for recognizing me as Employee of the Month. I am humbled and grateful to be the recipient of this award. I truly enjoy working here at MST. This company has many great leaders who inspire me every day and have helped me grow, not only in my career, but as a person. In my 6 years working at MST, I could always say that I have learned something new from a facilities technician, a coach operator, a mechanic. I can go on and on with the list of all the people who have provided me a plethora of knowledge and support on this job. That is what we do here at MST. We help our communities and we help each other. Therefore, I want to thank everyone here at MST for the leadership and camaraderie that we provide for each other every day. My goal when I started with this company was to be cross-trained to do more than one position, and I'm so proud of myself today for achieving one of my many goals and sharing it with all of you. Finally, I just quickly want to use this platform to spread a message of encouragement and positivity to everyone, something that my parents instilled in me while growing up. Always do your best. Do the best you can in every task, no matter how unimportant it may seem at the time. Do it for yourself. Do it for a cause, not for an applause. I have learned that the most rewarding event in my life is when you learn to be proud of yourself. Thank you.
Look at the camera for the.
And we'll look at this camera here.
Oh, the
Or-
other
Over here.
Right here, right here.
Oh,
There we
that
go.
camera.
Yeah, this camera here for the social media. Otherwise, it didn't happen. Thank you, Daniel. Well said, my goodness. I'm glad, we are recording that, right? And use that in our marketing efforts. That was a beautiful speech.
Thank you, Daniel. What a great name too. Love that name.
Yeah, Bruno is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's right. There's a few moderators. Is there anybody from the board that'd like to say a few words? Lorraine, I think your hand up.
Well, you just said it right there, Carl. I think you found your new recruiting officer. I mean, for everything that he said is so important for us to get new people to come on to MST. And what a great employee, what a strong employee. Good job, Daniel. Thank you for all of your hard work and your background. I know exactly how you feel. I am a daughter of immigrant parents, and I know what it's like to learn to grow and work hard for everything that you do. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Board Member Worthy. Is there anyone else in? Yes, Board Member Carbone.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Daniel from the bottom of my heart. And he sounds like a great employee, and I love it. Do it for a cause, not for an applause. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Daniel.
Is there anyone else? Yes, Board Member Labar.
Thank you, Chair. I just gonna say, Daniel, really appreciated what you said. It just warms my heart. I've always felt MST as a family, and you just reinforced that. Great pick, Sloan. Thank you, Chair.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Chair, my hand's up as well. I just wanted to echo the same sentiments. Thank you, Daniel, so much for those words, and thank you for being prepared. I think one of the delights, at least for me being on this board, is that all of the staff members, all of the team is always fully prepared. So you demonstrated that by coming and already having your presentation ready to deliver. So thank you so much, and thank you for your commitment to the people that we serve.
Thank you, Board Member Velasquez. Is there anyone else that'd like to make a comment? Well, I'd just like to mention, Daniel, it's great to see a commitment from our employees that are willing to do some things other than what's assigned to them. And that shows dedication to our company, and we really appreciate your hard work. Thank you very much. Let's move to 4.2, which is receive staff report for activities related to COVID-19.
Okay,
Pandemic.
thank you, Chair. I'm going to have Scott, who's been running around trying to adjust the volume gains with regard to the reappearance of the distortion, and we're going to wait for this presentation to come up in just a second. Scott's probably going to put about a marathon of miles in today, running back and forth there. All right, here we go.
Carl, why don't we check this? Can all the board members hear us without distortion?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we're just getting
All right.
distortion coming in for some reason.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here is my update. 2 years in to the shelter in place that started the same time in 2020. And next slide, Scott, because I'm not, it's not coming through on the clicker. There we go. So recent activities, our Omicron surge that we were experiencing last month has begun to wane. And although have not gone away, we had 2 cases just last week in our maintenance shop, 2 different maintenance shop employees. So there are, while it is going down, it has not gone away completely. We're currently at 65 cases, life to date over the past 2 years, MST. Direct employees, MV employees are sitting at 19. Again, no contact made with MST passengers, no contact cases traced back to the MST work environment. All the cases have been through personal contact, attending events or traveling. Currently, 98% of MST employees and 93% of MV employees are vaccinated. Combined, that's a 97% vaccination rate. 1 MST and 5 MV employees have been granted reasonable accommodations and are testing weekly. 4 MST and 1 MV employees are out of compliance with your board adopted policy and are going through the progressive disciplinary process. Through the end of February, we've provided over 500 free day passes for customers who provide us proof of vaccination for themselves or their children. They get a free all-day pass. Then also for MST Rides customers providing proof of vaccination, we provide a free trip. And so we have 800 plus free rides or passes provided life to date. The face covering mandate for transit and airlines has been extended through April 18th. Monterey County, as of last week, was considered put into the low transmission risk rate. Staff is currently reviewing COVID protocols and procedures that we are either, what to discontinue and what to maintain as we start to move through this lowering of COVID protocols. We have a meeting this Wednesday that we'll start discussing those protocols, because we have frankly have been probably on the more conservative side implementing these protocols, going above and beyond what's been required, and we're taking a fresh look at that. This next item is on the board agenda. I just realized under announcements, we did inform elected official staff and community leaders of opportunities to receive donations of 7 surplus buses, which is part of our policy. I did add to that some links to some articles where communities have been creative about taking old buses and converting them into showers and or sleeping stations for homeless individuals. We've had both the city of Monterey has asked me to provide an update on this to a workshop of your council. And then we've had the city of Salinas's Project Home Key staff ask us for more information. We'll be coming back to your board in April with authorizing donations of vehicles. So we'd like to get, if you have people that are interested in receiving a donated vehicle from MST, please let us know by the end of this month. And then we'll be bringing this to your board to approve those donations in April, because we will need to move these off. The vehicles that we have in surplus will be sent off to auction should we not have an opportunity to donate them. Next slide. So ridership continues to come back over time. We are, nearing 50% of where we were pre-COVID. A little less than that if you look at the 3-year average prior to COVID. We last week had the highest ridership on our MST Rides paratransit services since before the shelter in place went into effect. So our ride services are coming back. This is particularly related to the CASA Adult Daycare Center in Salinas opening up to full capacity. And that was a primary driver of our MST Rides trips prior to COVID. And now that that's open, we're back at pre-COVID rates on the MST Ride service, and still trying to recover as employment is slow to recover in this area, particularly in hospitality. As hospitality gears up and hires, we'll start seeing perhaps more people ride our transit. Next slide. And here we are looking at the 3-year average prior to COVID. You'll see we're still below 50% on the 3-year average. Now, part of that is really likely due to we had a very large military partnership prior to COVID that has since the base closed their gates during COVID and have not expressed an interest in renewing the partnership that we had prior to COVID. So we are missing that significant amount of ridership that was occurring on the Presidio of Monterey. I've had in-person meetings with the base commander over the recent weeks, and we'll probably have to wait for a base command change before anything else happens. So that should happen later this summer, and then we'll take a run at the Presidio again. Next slide.
Can I ask you a question
Yeah,
on that?
absolutely.
What is the, of that percentage, what is the percentage that you could say, if we had that service back to the DLI, what is 20%, 10%?
About 10%. Actually, let's see. Well, we got 2020. Prior to COVID, we were they were covering about 20% of our trips were on the base. So out of 4.5 million, we were around 900,000 passenger trips. A lot of that was on the base circling around, but there was also people coming from military neighborhoods that were doing daily commutes. And
Okay, that's good. Thank you. I just
Sure.
was curious.
so how are we comparing? I found this chart online. Hopefully you can read this. This is a tool provided through APTA, our National Trade Association, that takes our reports, the data that transit agencies from all around the country input, and looking at MST is the red line. The yellow line are all urban areas under 500,000, which is describes us, the category that we fall into. And the blue line is the national trends. So you can see this goes back about a 6 months period. You can see up until the new year, we were running slightly below average for small urban areas in the national average. But since New Year, we're right in the, sometimes a little above, sometimes a little below. So we're continuing to track that, compared to peers around the country. Next slide. Compared to peers around the state, I've compared us to the blue line is Santa Cruz Metro, the yellow line is MST, the red line is San Joaquin and Stockton, and the blue, let's see, it's kind of a green teal line is Central Contra Costa. Looks a little different on my screen on my computer, but you can see that MST again was running a little bit below peer, and now we're as we're coming back. You can see as the communities are coming back, different communities are coming back at different rates. You can see Santa Cruz. It looks like their UC, which they provide half of their service, is to the University of California. As that has come back, you can see they're almost at 90% of their ridership. MST is comparable to Central Contra Costa Transit, another suburban type of transit operation. And you can see in the San Joaquin Valley in Stockton, they're still struggling. So you can see individual transit operations, their recoveries are almost as unique as their local economies are recovering, which I found interesting. Next slide. So talk about funding. We are receiving this slide shows us the various coronavirus relief packages that we've received, the CARES, the CARISA, and the American Relief Plan, ARPA funds. We anticipate having spent all those funds by June of 2022 and to be completely reimbursed by September of 2022. The reason this is important, we did not cover this in our federal legislative update, but I wanted to share with the board that during this bill that was just passed, the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Bill that we're waiting for the president's signature on, there were calls from Republican side of the House to fund the additional transit expenditures by rescinding and clawing back unspent relief funds. So we will have all of our funds spent and reimbursed by the end of this federal fiscal year. So they can't touch it after we've already spent it. So I guess I know the city, some of your cities and maybe some of the other boards that you may sit on, your organizations may have received COVID relief funds. Just going to let you know, there was a run at it that did not pass the House. They ended up not clawing back, but there were votes and there were measures put forward that should the midterms change the fortunes of the House or the Senate, those runs might be more successful. So I'd encourage anyone who is currently using CARES, CARISA, or ARPA funds, and depending on those in your budget, find ways to encumber those funds, get purchase orders written against them to secure them. Next slide. So as we look at cash flow, the gold line represents your board's minimum requirement of where we should be with cash on hand. Because of all the various funds that we've received, we've been able to bank some of our local funds. But you can see that we're projecting after May, June of this year, we're not anticipating any more COVID relief funds. And you can see that we're going to start, you can see that downward trend. So that's where our implementation of our comprehensive operational plan and our new service plan is a result of that, where we need to get our ridership back to restore the funds that we're currently not collecting in passenger fares. We're still only collecting about a third, well, between a half and a third of what we have collected in the past as a percent of our operating budget because of the lower ridership. So we have probably about 2 years to turn this around and to get our fare revenues back before I have real concerns. But you can see that trend where it's going, and I don't see it turning around from a cash flow perspective. I don't see there's any new federal money coming in to help us out there. Next slide. So with that concludes where we stand 2 years in to coronavirus recovery and response. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Carl, for that report. Does anybody have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Director Emilio.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Albert. Carl, I'm still part-time at the DLI, and the white buses that are cruising around the base, is that all military buses?
Yes,
Do you know?
those are the contractor for the military. They have the old school buses that are painted white. They're run by a contractor called Phoenix Transportation.
Okay. Thank you. It just seems like there's quite a few of them around. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, Director Worthy.
Yeah, Carl, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, have you heard anything from Gonzalez regarding the donated buses? Because I have really been on them about that. So I wondered if you heard anything from them at all.
My staff are unanimously shaking their heads. We have not.
Okay. And the second question I have is regarding the uptick in our gas prices. How is that affecting our buses and the costing? Because obviously it's an issue, and I just wondered, how is that affecting our budget, our cost?
We're only a couple weeks in. We always budget conservatively on the price of fuel. But even with our best guesses, I'm sure we didn't budget for the increases that we're going to see. Fuel cost is about 10% of our budget. So even, with a huge spike, it's going to be a small percentage for what we do, and it's happening late in our fiscal year. We purchase we have cooperative agreements that we purchase fuel at a bulk rate with Oakland and San Francisco and some of the San Francisco Bay areas. So we're slightly insulated from that, but we'll be budgeting for that in the new fiscal year because we're anticipating these higher fuel rates to current prognosticators are saying you can anticipate this to go through at least November at these higher rates. So we are continuing to monitor and we'll forecast in the upcoming budget where we think we stand. But for today, no discernible impact as where we are today, but in the coming months for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has a question? Yes, Mayor LeBaron.
Thank you, Chair. Carl, where you were talking about the COVID updates, re-looking at policies and procedures to see which ones are relevant, which are important to continue. You also mentioned the progressive disciplinary action of a few MST employees and MV employees. Those policies that put that in place, were those specific to an emergency order being in place? Or were those policies that were going to continue regardless?
Yeah, the types of things I've been talking about. So for those folks that are in the disciplinary process, those processes will continue. That was a board adopted policy that these employees have willfully ignored. And there's been plenty of back and forth with them, and we are just going through our process with that. So any employee who willfully ignores a policy adopted by this board will go through a disciplinary process. The types of thing I was talking about is really related to, say, masks on board the buses. Currently, passengers and drivers are required to have masks on board the buses. We're still requiring the drivers to keep their masks on, and all employees to keep their masks on when they come into the transit facilities. Part of that is just for our COVID tracing unit. It's easier for us to keep track of people when they keep their masks on all the time. But as the county transmission rate has been declining, we are looking at our peers to see, is there something maybe we can let our drivers, if a bus is not in revenue service, take their mask off. Those are the types of things that we're talking about internally, and will that help us or hurt us? But as I said, it's not like we're at zero. We just had 2 cases last week. So we need to be concerned about that.
Thank you,
If I
Carl.
could just add on to that, board member LeBar, just for a second, or do you have a few more comments on this?
No, all I was going to ask is that we revisit that policy to look at the parameters. What are the trigger measures, because things are changing. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, that was my question does the policy have a sunshine? Yeah. Sunset, thank you. So sunrise, sunset, something like that. Does it have some type of, like you said, trigger that where we take a look at the policy again? So thank you for that comment. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to 5 public hearings. You know what, let me go back. Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment on this? On the item 4.2? Scott, do you see anyone out there?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to public hearings. There is no public hearing, so we'll move to our one and only action item 6.1, receive mid-year budget report and year-end forecast for fiscal year 2021 and 22. Okay, Lisa, you're up to the mic, so I guess it's you.
It is indeed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I do not have a presentation today, so you will not be subject to death by PowerPoint. So item 6-1 starts on page 51 of your board report. And this is an information item, a report to you as a courtesy, so you know what's going on with our budget, and no action is required today. So since 2 years ago, we've been watching the finances, obviously for a number of reasons. We've been watching them very closely so we don't get into a hole, and so far we haven't, thanks to good management, federal aid, et cetera, et cetera. So this report will focus on the operating side, not the capital side of our budget. On the revenues, actuals between July and December plus the forecast between January and June We anticipate receiving $4.1 million over what we had anticipated in the adopted budget. That's largely due to the local transportation funds, Measure Q funds, and the federal aid packages. So with local transportation funds and Measure Q funds, those are reliant on local sales taxes. And who knew it, a pandemic induced spending apparently. And so we're receiving more than what we had anticipated. Of course, we do budget on the conservative side so as not to get into a pickle later on. On the expense side, labor costs are lower than budget due to staffing shortages. We've talked about this a number of times throughout the year. As well as, shortages across the economy are just creating some challenges for us. And so on other expenses that are lower than budget to know are PPE supplies, vehicle parts, MV contracted transportation services, a little here and a little there. The old adage of take care of your pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. In this case, it's the thousands of dollars that will take care of themselves. And to Director Worthy's previous question about fuel, because we're coming in lower than what we had anticipated with the number of vehicle revenue miles traveled because of our MST staffing shortages, we are therefore traveling fewer miles than we had anticipated in our budget, and fuel is coming in lower than what we had anticipated, even though fuel prices are higher. So I hope that answers that question there. So overall, on the expense side of things, our actuals are forecast to come in plus with the total year that we're looking at, we're estimating we will spend 6.2 million less than what we had anticipated, which if you put the two together, we're anticipating a $10.3 million surplus at the end of the current fiscal year. So per our MST cash policy reserve requirements of 15%, that will be maintained through any surplus that we have, as well as fund future capital needs in basically a sinking fund so that we can try to chip away at millions of dollars worth of capital unfunded needs. So before I end, and this will be my last statement, I'd like to thank Andrea Williams, who is our accounting budget manager, who put together the mid-year budget report and forecast for your information. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple of questions. Is there anybody in the board that before I go? Is there anyone? Yes, Director Emilio.
Yes, it's great to see that you've got the 10.3 million as a reserve. Lisa, I was wondering, or Carl, is there I'll give you an example. For the city of Pacific Grove, we want a 35% reserve in our budget. Is there a percentage of a budget that for MST that is mandatory for a reserve? I see you shaking your head from the back. Oh, hi.
Yes, there is a mandatory reserve per MST policy of 15%. So in this particular budget, it would be about $7.8 million.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else?
I just have a
Yes, John.
curiosity question on the fuel pricing. Do we actually pay the California gas tax on that when we buy our fuel, or are we exempt from that?
We're exempt on some and not all. Norm?
Yeah, I think we made, there are some exceptions. I don't know specific.
It was just a.
Yeah.
Just a
It's a
curiosity
complicated
question.
thing, and we are exempt from some fees and taxes, but not from others, and I don't have the exact ones at the top of my head.
Okay, no, thank you.
Either you might know about.
No, I mean, this was a very easy budget to read, and it's great news. Yeah.
We like easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy for me. That's good.
And
So I have a couple of questions before we go here. What accounts for the 4.1 million of less expenditures? Why are we Why are we so far under the budget?
So largely it's related to the fact that we are not fully staffed on the coach operator side of things. And then there were a couple other things I noted. PPE supplies are coming in a little over 100,000 less than anticipated. Vehicle parts also about that much, if I recall off the top of my head. I've actually wrote them down here, or I highlighted them. Safety, PPE, 131 under, revenue, vehicle parts, 125 under, you know, and then a little this, a little that, and it just kind of adds up. Right. And then the other thing was MV contracted services. Again, because we're not, we're across the board having shortages in people, it's coming in under as well.
So that leads me to my second question is, do we have open positions right now that are budgeted that will, when the end of the fiscal year happens, that those dollars that are budgeted will fall out of the budget?
I don't think
Do we have any?
I don't know that it's going to take several cycles of recruitments to be able to completely, you know, staff up to our budgeted positions.
But I mean, we have those open positions
Yes.
in the budget,
Yes.
which means that if we don't fill them by the end of this fiscal year, that will drop out, those dollars. Yes, go ahead.
Kelly Halkin, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management. Not necessarily they roll over into the next year. It's just a
I
cost
see.
savings in general. So we just push those funds over into the next budgetary year and go from there.
Okay, all right, I get that. Thank you, Kelly. And then my last, that's great to see that we're going to have a $10.3 million surplus, which is wonderful. And I would advocate for a higher reserve than 15% myself, even though I know our board policy says 15%. But seeing that this could happen again, and we may not have the federal funds to back us up, it'd be nice to have a larger reserve. So that's my 2 cents. And then the second thing is, because it's a 10.3 million of one-time dollars, I would assume that I would like to see a plan from the staff of where we're going to spend that. I know you mentioned about capital improvements, but I would like to see where that fund is going to, where those dollars are going to go.
And that will be kicked into our budget planning for FY 23, 24, 24, 25.
When it comes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Is there
you.
anybody else that have a question? Yes, Board Member Worthy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. This is probably for Carl, although I'm sure Kelly or Lisa can answer it. How's it going with the recruiting? I know this is a constant issue that we've been discussing. I know that we get so many people that apply and only so many show, but I know it's something that we're always concerned about. So if anyone could answer that for me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Kelly jumped up. I
Yeah.
can't hold her back. She took her jacket off.
I
She's
know.
ready to go.
She's
starting to
ready
get
to
a little
answer that
warm.
question.
The pressure is on, I'm sweating a little bit here. No, to answer your question, we currently had a class start at the day after Martin Luther King, and that was a class of 4 drivers. And we had also hired 3 utility service people during that same day to start. And so a couple of our utility service through the training process, because we trained them together, decided that they actually wanted to become drivers instead. So we now have a class of 6 drivers that are set to graduate here shortly and go out into service. We also have been recruiting back to back. So as soon as we had the class in January start, we were already working on our recruitment for a May 10th class. And currently we are doing interviews this week for drivers, as well as we're still assessing drivers that are coming in. And so we're working through that process. We also have some administrative positions that are open that just recently the recruitment has closed for that. And we're going to start working on those interviews as well. So one of them being an HR manager that will hopefully help me in recruiting, as it's just myself right now and 2 HR assistants who are trying to do the recruiting for the open position. So that's something that the executive leadership team we've met frequently about is staffing and just determining priority of positions based on needs and coming up with a recruiting plan that we can all live with to fill these positions.
Thank you, Kelly. Do we have recruiting fairs? Does anybody ever have that?
There used to be more recruiting fairs, but COVID unfortunately shifted them into a virtual reality environment or eliminated them altogether. There have been some down in South County, and we have participated in those. Veronica Correa, who goes down and she works frequently with the South County cities, has been acting as a representative in the HR quasi HR representative mode and helping us recruit. So we are doing that as well. And then any opportunities that we are made aware of, we try to participate in as well.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Is there anyone from the board have a question for Kelly?
Yeah.
Yes, Board Member LeBaire. Don't put your coat on, Kelly.
Velasquez was waiting for a while, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you,
I'm
Mayor
sorry.
LaBarre. Yeah, you can't, I don't know, you can't see me, Chair, so,
Oh, there you are.
yeah, I'm trying to raise my hand. But thank you. I have a follow-up question in regards to the training as well. I know that in one of the, I'm trying to remember the session that I participated about 2 months ago. Part of the recruiting efforts that they were doing nationally, obviously, because we know that there's a shortage in drivers across the board, was really looking toward partnerships with colleges. So I know we have that partnership with Hartnell College, not sure how that's moving forward or if we continue with that. But they did talk a lot about partnering with our local community colleges as well as the workforce development boards to be able to have a pathway for drivers to be able to train them and to be able to have kind of that pipeline. So that was one of my questions as a follow-up, if we're doing anything around that, Kelly. And then the other question, in terms of the budget, I know that there was an allocation of $35,000 for the bus painting, and just had a question in regards to how do we select which bus, I think it's bus stops. Bus painting, is that bus stops or bus painting? I guess that's my clarification. And what's the process for, if it's a bus stop, what's the process for assigning those priority bus stops that need painting?
I will let Lisa Reinheimer answer the bus stop painting question, and I'm gonna buy her a little bit of time while she looks for that answer for you. She's going furiously through her packet. As far as our partnerships, Norm and I have been meeting frequently with Hartnell. It's a long process to get established and recognized by the state. There's some funding that comes with these partnerships, and you have to be approved. And part of it is having an established plan of how you do these programs. And you have to have also, you also need to have an agreement with your union in order for it to be recognized by the state. So that is an ongoing process that will be probably a little bit more than a meet confer, but not quite sure yet how that's going to play out. And we can, in closed session, we'll be talking about upcoming ATU negotiations. As far as partnerships with the WIB board, we have a long-standing relationship with them that spans over 10 years. Due to COVID, their activities kind of slowed down and they did more virtual stuff. And so we did participate in virtual meetings with them. There was some movement of their offices as well. So and some movement of staff within their thing. So we've lost staff as well, and they've lost staff. So we're hoping to, at some point, once they get going and have more in-person stuff, we can reestablish who our contact is at the WIB, Workforce Development Board.
Thank you. Norm, do you have an answer to?
Yeah, I just want to speak
budget?
to about bus painting. So we pick the vendors based on the bids that they provide, and this is specific to what you're referring to, the 35,000 for bus painting. So that's, it could be vehicle damage, it could be just normal wear and tear, but we do that based on best pricing available at the time.
Thank you, Norm, for clarifying that. So it's actually bus painting, not bus stops. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
That's right. Yeah. vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
John, do you have?
That was it.
Okay.
I was gonna ask that same question.
So is that a contractor that comes in that you hire, or we hire them every year?
Yeah, they come in and we do it based on the damage that we need.
Oh,
So
I
there's
see.
some contractors that have specialized equipment. They would be the only ones available to bid on that type of work. So just depending on the work. And so we put it out for bid, and based on the bid that we get, the best reliable and probably the lowest bid most likely will get the award.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Part of maintenance, I assume.
Yes, it is.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Board Member LeBaire.
Thank you, Chair. Just two comments. One is MST has been really great on announcing the open positions. But what I would like to ask is that any open positions for the South County facility, if those could be sent specifically to the South County reps so we can talk within our communities. And then upcoming opportunities, I know MST has been working closely with the Blue Zones project. As they work through the South County cities, there will be events happening, and that would be a great opportunity for MST to provide their outreach and recruit. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
If I may, Chair, it would be difficult for MST to guarantee location of someone. Many of our positions are subject to a bidding process through the union. And so there may be some, but I would say the vast majority, it would be virtually impossible for us to guarantee someone that you're going to work out of the South County facility.
Okay, thank you, Carl, for the clarification.
So I just want to go back to the, one more time, go back to the reserve, the 15% reserve, because I just thought of another question on that. Obviously, that is not a minimum, it's a minimum of 15%, but there is no maximum on there. Does that, if the staff decides they want to put more money into that reserve, do they have to come back to the board and request it because we do have a 2-year budget on that?
No, we historically have not. It is a floor and it is cash. That is a cash
Right,
reserve, not a
got it.
budget reserve.
Okay, I get it.
And that's
That is different.
that dates back to the Great Recession, when we found out relying on a budgeted reserve is different than relying on a cash reserve.
I'm just finding that out.
So we
Yeah, thank you.
put that cash reserve in, and your board did adopt, though, what those reserves and the priority of what those reserves may be used for. Prioritizing state of good repair of our capital programs. You will see in the draft budget that comes up, staff is developing a zero emission bus transition sinking fund that we will be placing reserves in, because we've identified through the transition plan that your board adopted a few months ago that there could be up to $100 million unfunded mandate. And so we are setting aside funds that we can then use to match the federal programs that are coming through to get these funds. So we do have a prioritization of how to utilize those reserves.
Thank you. That's the question, the answer that I wanted to get. Thank you. Is there anyone else on the board that like to make comment? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. How about out in the public? Is there anyone in the public that'd like to comment on our budget? Scott, do you see anybody out there?
No, sir.
Okay, great. All right, then this is just a receive item, no action taken. So we'll move to number 7, which is reports from general manager. Do you have anything, Carl?
You have my general manager's report. I did cover most, what I thought was important to you all in my PowerPoint presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might find of note in the general manager's report.
Okay, that general manager's report starts on page 59. Is there anyone from the board that would like to make a comment or ask questions about Carl's report? Do I see anybody there? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Okay, let's move to number 8. That's yes. Oh, public. Okay, public comment on Carl's reports, please. Is there anyone out there?
I'm not
Scott?
seeing any.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me on that. Number 8, board reports, comments and referrals. 8.1, reports on meetings attended by board members at MST expense. Anyone been to a conference? Okay, no one mentioning anything. We'll move to board member comments and announcements. Carl, we have spare bus availability for donations.
Right,
Okay.
which way I already discussed.
Yeah, right, you
Right.
did. City of Monterey responded to that.
City of Monterey and the City of Salinas Project Home Key
Okay,
responded so far, and we're pending apparently City of Gonzales request. We learned today.
great, thank you. I also want to remind the board that our board committee for chair and vice chair will meet board member LeBear and who else was on that? Tony was
Oh,
on
Tony.
that. We'll meet at the beginning of April sometime. I'll have Jeanette work up a time for us to meet and discuss. But most importantly, if there's anyone on the board that have a desire to be a chair or a vice chair, please make sure you email me personally. That's albert@monterey.org, that you're interested in being nominated for one of those 2 positions. And then we'll,
Mayor Velasquez has her hand up.
okay. Mayor, oh, there he is. Mayor Velasquez, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a comment before we end too. I know I want to make sure that I'm clear that I know that MST is going to be celebrating its 50th in October. Carl, so if there's any support that you need from us, please let us know. We want to make sure that, we highlight as much as we can the work, the 50 years that MST has been in inception, and the services that it's provided to our residents, not only through transit, but obviously pivoted to a lot of other needs, met a lot of other needs from our community. So please let us know.
Thank you. And we're not limiting it to October. It's going to be all year long. You're going to be tired of hearing about our 50th anniversary.
What a great project for the new chair coming in. I think
And
that's a great-
Yes,
Mayor Carbone.
Mayor
I just
Cabana.
want, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention that on another note regarding COVID-19, there may be a mandate bill, AB 1993, that'll mandate employees to get vaccinated, and that's gonna be going through the state. So the state's gonna be tackling that. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Mayor Cabana. Is there anyone else on the board? Okay, not seeing anyone else, so we'll move to 8.3, board member referrals to future agendas. Is there anyone out there that would like to place something on the agenda in future?
Chair, this is Labar. Just the board policy we spoke about earlier. That would be brought back for review
Yes, and that was the,
regarding the disciplinary actions.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
I just have a question.
Yes, John.
Now that we do have this new South County facility, is it available for board meetings?
No, it's really not designed for that purpose. We don't have a room large enough to do that. So it's really an operations
Sure.
maintenance facility. It's a working facility, not really well designed for the public to access. So I would say
No.
no.
Okay.
I would seek, if we wanted to do a public meeting in a South County facility or in King City, there are facilities there that we have
Yeah.
used in the past for public meetings, ample.
Yeah. I've never met any of my South County board members, and if we have an opportunity to go down there and have a board member or a board meeting, then I'd love it. I'd take that opportunity.
Okay, that's actually a pretty good idea. Mike, can we use your chambers, Mike?
Absolutely. I would say that Greenfield probably has the biggest chambers in South County. Very open, but ours is always available to MST.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely. I agree, but I don't know if our Greenfield colleagues are here, but Greenfield has a really nice, actually really large facility that can accommodate.
Okay. Well, when maybe later in the year, when everybody feels comfortable about coming to meetings, and we're away from the hybrid model, maybe we can look into that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Good idea. Okay, we're going to adjourn to closed session. We have one item. It's conference with Monterey Salinas Transit and the ATU labor contract. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this closed session item?
Scott, do you
do you
want to
see
go through
anybody?
the process for the board?
It's going to be really the same process, Carl.
Okay.
I just want to make sure there wasn't anybody out there, Scott.
There is nobody out there.
Okay, all right, we'll adjourn to closed session. See you in a little bit.
Okay, so those of you who remember, our closed sessions were in the room next door. And we'll be convening there.
Is there any way we can meet here? Because we have the
Video.
No, we're all set up. We're all set up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're out of here.
We've already tested it.
Okay, good.
Staff playing board members.
What's the accommodation for the restroom?
Right here. Right across the room. And the code is 1.
But I'm only one vote.
I am only coming because I was invited. If you'd like me to
No,
disagree.
no. I will talk to Hans.
Okay. Okay. Hey,
Okay, we're gonna wait till,
we're back.
let's see if everyone's here.
Yep. Look at that.
We have everyone here? Think so. Okay, thank you. Welcome back. We have a report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
The board did meet in closed session to discuss one topic, that was conference with Monterey Salinas Transit and ATU labor contract. There was a motion and action was taken, made by Chair Albert and seconded by Board Member Gagliotti, to authorize MST to enter into negotiations and set dates with ATU. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the end of our meeting. We will adjourn at 11:37. Remember, there's a scheduled meeting for April 11th hybrid, so you either can be here or you can be on a virtual world. Thank you very much, folks, for coming. Thank you, everyone out there on
Thank
the
you.
screens.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
day.